Senator Ted Cruz, who's joining me right now. Senator, good morning and welcome back. Been way too long, my friend.
Good morning, Trey. It's good to be with you.
Great to have you here. Let's dive right in with stuff that is going on. First of all, let me start at the top of the sheet here. You met with the folks from Taiwan the other day and basically told China, hey, listen, you don't ask us when you meet with somebody. We're not going to ask you.
Well, that's right. President Tsai, the elected president of Taiwan, was traveling to the United States, and she was in Texas and Houston. And so I met with her Sunday morning, and before the meeting, I and other members of the congressional delegation got this rather curious letter from China, where China asked us not to meet with her because China engages in this fiction where they refuse to recognize or acknowledge that Taiwan exists. Taiwan obviously broke away and formed its own nation from China, and China doesn't like that. Well, Taiwan is a democratic ally, a strong ally of America, and so I happily met with President Tsai and then discussed ways we can increase our cooperation, both our military cooperation, but also our economic trade and cooperation. You know, Texas is a big exporter to Taiwan, It's a big agricultural market for our farmers and ranchers and for our small businesses, and so it was a very productive meeting. And you're right, I told China, thank you for your advice, but you don't have a veto power over who I meet with and who I don't.
Well, and I like that because that's an attitude that says we're going to do what's right for the United States of America first. We're not going to kowtow.
Absolutely.
You know, we're not going to bend in. We're not going to fall in just because China says this or Russia says that. We are going to do what's right for the United States of America, and that's what people want, Senator. That's what we're begging for out here.
Well, it's when we elect our leaders, the first thing we want is for them to remember who they work for.
That's right.
And in my case, I work for 27 million Texans, and I try to remember that each and every day that I've got to go to work and fight for every man and woman in the great state of Texas.
Senator Ted Cruz is on with me right now. So today the confirmation hearings began. Up first will be Senator Sessions, and the Democrats, headed up by Chuck Schumer, are going to throw everything they can at him, including Cory Booker. What are your thoughts?
Well, the hearings are going to begin in about 20 minutes, and I think we're going to see a lot of fireworks. I think the Democrats are going to do everything they can to rough him up. Frankly, irrespective of the merits, I think the Democratic base, I think the far left, is furious about the election. They're in a state of shock. They're in a state of denial. And I think their base is demanding that they try to bloody up President-elect Trump's nominees, and especially Jeff Sessions. And I got to tell you, I know Jeff very well. He and I have served together on the Judiciary Committee for the last 4 years. We've served together on the Armed Services Committee for the last 4 years. And Jeff is a good man. He is a man of integrity. He's a man who will actually follow the law. Most conservative attorney general we've seen in a long time.
That's what they don't like.
That's why the left is freaking out.
They
don't want an attorney general who follows the law. They want a left-wing partisan like Eric Holder or Loretta Lynch.
That's exactly right. They want somebody who is not going to apply the law equally. They're out of their minds with you said freaking out. That's exactly right, because they know after this email dump from the FBI on Friday night, while everybody was worried about Fort Lauderdale and the shooting that happened down there, that this exposes Hillary Clinton to more information and the possibility that an AG Sessions would not look at her status and who she is, but would actually apply the law to her, and that's got them totally freaked out, among other things that they are freaked out about, because he's going to go by what the law says. He's not going to have a political agenda he's not a hack like Holder was.
Look, Jeff is someone who follows the law, who cares about the law. He's been a United States attorney. He's been the Attorney General of the state of Alabama. He's been a senator for 20 years. And I'll tell you, sitting on next to Jeff Sessions and hearing after hearing, there has not been a more relentless senator at holding the Obama Justice Department accountable, at really shining the light. You take the issue of immigration. The Obama administration has gone out of their way, number one, to reward sanctuary cities, to give them hundreds of millions of dollars as cities are defying federal immigration law. And then number two, to just on its own, the Obama Justice Department, both Holder and Loretta Lynch, ignoring the law, defying immigration law, refusing to enforce our laws, and releasing hundreds of thousands of criminals, murderers, rapists, violent criminals who are here illegally. And Jeff Sessions has held the Department of Justice to account over and over and over again. And the Democrats are terrified. They don't want an attorney general who has a more humble view of the job, that it is simply to enforce the laws and not to become your own legislature, changing whatever laws you might disagree with.
And because of what we're going to hear ad nauseum in the next few days about these confirmation hearings, I really support your term limit legislation. The time has come. I was one of those, Ted, that always said, listen, term limits are at the ballot box. We have the opportunity to term limit people out, but it doesn't work that way anymore.
Well, look, I certainly understand that argument, but the simple reality is Washington is broken.
That's right.
Having been here now, having seen it firsthand, as bad as you think it is, Trey, I promise you it's worse.
Yeah.
And sometimes good people come to Washington. They come here with good intentions, and they get corrupted by the city, the special interests, the lobbyists. They begin giving their campaigns money. They become dependent on that, and they become terrified of losing. In the Senate lunches, the dominant instinct is risk aversion. Everyone is afraid. They love their job and they don't want to lose their job. And when you're afraid of losing your job, what happens is you're unwilling to take on any of the major challenges in the country. You're unwilling to really address the problems because that involves risk. And so I've joined with Ron DeSantis, a member of the House, in introducing a constitutional amendment to mandate term limits, 3 terms for members of the House, 2 terms for members of the Senate. And it's something that enjoys the overwhelming support. About 80% of Americans bipartisan support term limits. It's one of the most effective ways, as President-elect Trump puts it, to drain the swamp, to end the corruption. And I hope Congress actually demonstrates that we heard something in this election, that it's not business as usual, that we're going to act to really address the just how Washington's broken.
I'm going to let you go here in a minute because I know you got work to do up there. Trey Ware here with Senator Ted Cruz joining me on the Stevens Roofing Newsmaker Hotline at KTSA. I did want to ask you about the repeal and replace of Obamacare. That is something that people have been begging for since this law came about. Now we're hearing 2 things that I think are of concern that I'd like to get you to address. There are some political commentators like a Charles Krauthammer and people like that are saying, listen, Republicans had better have a plan, because once they begin this process, then they're going to own health care in the country, and anything that goes wrong with it, then it's going to be blamed on the Republicans. That's number one. And number 2, we're finding out now that millions of Obamacare enrollees already had health insurance prior to Obamacare. They had it canceled by Obamacare, and then they had to sign up under Obamacare. So all this stuff that we're hearing about, well, you're going to, kick everybody off of health care. They're not going to get health care. You mean old nasty Republicans are going to take their health care away from them. It's just not true. They had it before Obamacare, before Obama canceled it.
You're exactly right, Trey. I'd say a couple of things. Number one, 6 years into Obamacare, it has become apparent to anyone who's paying attention that Obamacare is a disaster, that it's not working, that it has resulted in millions of Americans losing their jobs, being forced into part-time work against their wishes, losing their health insurance, losing their doctors. Millions of Americans have seen their premiums skyrocket. Every day as I travel around the state of Texas, people stop me and say, I used to have health insurance and I paid a few hundred a month, 300, 400, 500, 600 a month. It's now doubled. It's now, I don't know how my family can afford this anymore, given the price of health insurance.
Well, in my case, it hadn't been the premiums so much, but the doggone deductibles are ridiculous.
Sure. Deductibles have gone through the roof, so people have health insurance. It just doesn't pay anything.
Right.
Everything they pay is out of their pocket.
That's right.
It isn't working. And you're right. Listen, are there a bunch of nervous Nellies in Congress who are scared about repealing Obamacare? Yes. It's why in the time I've been in the Senate, there's nothing I fought harder to do than repeal Obamacare, because that was the number one promise I made to the people of Texas. But if you look at this election in November was more than anything a mandate for change. It was an overwhelming cry from the American people. Enough is enough. We are fed up with the direction we want, and we want change. And front and center is Obamacare. Republicans have been given the White House, every executive branch, and both houses of Congress. We've got to deliver now. No, the time for talk is done. It is put up or shut up.
Yep.
And so I believe we're going to. I think in the coming weeks, I hope and believe we are going to repeal Obamacare. And then, of course, we need common sense health care reform that expands competition, that empowers patients, that keeps government from getting in between you and your doctor. And I'll tell you, Trey, I think real quickly, I think 3 reforms that we should pass, and I hope we will. Number 1, allowing people to buy insurance across state lines. That creates a national marketplace. It'll expand choices. It'll lower costs and make health care more accessible. Number 2, we need to expand health savings accounts so you can save in a tax-advantaged way for more routine health care needs. And number 3, we need to de-link health insurance from employment.
Love
so
it.
your health insurance travels with you. It's portable. You don't lose your health insurance if you lose your job. Every one of those reforms, unlike Obamacare, which is all about Washington, every one of those reforms is about empowering you to make your health care decisions in consultation with your doctor without some bureaucrat sticking his nose in the middle.
You know, the problem with all that, you're talking common sense, see? And now we go back to number 1, which is Washington's broken. Listen, if I had, and I'll just wrap up with this, if I had a hotline to President-elect Trump, I would say this. There are 2 people, in my view, that need to be on the court. Judge Andrew Napolitano, who's a good friend of mine, and I talk to him every week on this show, and you, sir, need to be on the court. You are both originalists in the vein of an Antonin Scalia. I can think of nobody better positioned or rightful and deserved of that honor and could handle that position better than yourself, to be an originalist with the Constitution. Go back to the Constitution and to what the founding fathers said the Constitution was supposed to be.
Well, Trey, thank you very much. That is very kind, and it's certainly humbling to be discussed in that context. I'll say I emphatically agree with regard to Judge Napolitano. He is a good friend of mine as well, and I think he is a terrific defender of liberty. And President-elect Trump has promised to nominate from the list of 21 judges that he put out. I think it is a strong list of conservatives, and I am hopeful. I believe we're going to see a strong, principled conservative nominated to the court, and then we're going to see, just like starting this morning with Jeff Sessions, we're going to see another epic battle in the Senate. But I believe we're then going to confirm a strong conservative worthy of succeeding Justice Scalia, who's one of the greatest jurists ever to sit on the court. And there's no doubt this country desperately needs a return to the Constitution, a return to limited government, and a robust protection of the Bill of Rights. And that is exactly what I'm fighting for every day in the Senate, and I know what Texans want to see.
God bless you, sir. Please come back very soon.
Thank you, my friend. God bless you, and Happy New Year.